Greetings, peace, and blessings. Sister Yatira here, the First Lady of Farm Money Network, with another daily conversation on self-improvement, which is the basis of community development. I'm really excited about this conversation. Peace and blessings, my beautiful sister Felicia. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. I actually went to sleep with this thought, as I was going to sleep last night or early this morning. The desire feeds the will. And as I shared with you all yesterday with self-improvement, I was saying how, I think it was yesterday, but that since starting the self-improvement conversation, I have been getting up, I've been making my prayers. I have, been consistent in this area where I was previously slacking. And it's helping me. It's still specifically for me, even though my intention is to, or not even though, as much as my desire is, head football, peace and blessings, welcome, is to help and to inspire other people to do the same for themselves, right? To be able to focus on themselves and to enjoy this journey of self-improvement. So when I was going to bed last night, like I said, thinking about how the desire feeds the will and just getting right into it, I'm just no different than anybody else. I think that, for me, we see people and we see their greatness and we're like, wow, how are some of these people so great? How are some of these people, exalted or so well known or whatever? And it comes out that these people are doing whatever it is that they have been inspired to do, but they do it with the consistency, they do it with greatness, they do it with intention. And that kind of realization or those kind of thoughts for me say to me, okay, well, I can do great things too, so long as I stick to the success script. And I don't mean in the world of, entertainment. I mean by doing what God calls us here to do, by submitting and doing it. He is the greatest one who grants the best exaltation, so different people can bring you or give you different accolades. People can stamp you with their stamp of approval, all these different things. But when God does it, it's a different level, right? So like I said, that the desire to have that conversation, I'm not really sure where Allah is going to move us today, but just talking about how, like I said, people sometimes look at, oh, you're different because you think like this, or because no. What is my intention? What is your intention? What is our desire? And I know that I'm speaking here with my sister Felicia, another God-fearing woman. That thought is key. The fact that we want to serve God wholly, right? Solely, totally, completely. We're not concerned with, the thoughts that, or the so-called, the superficial thoughts that somebody else may have, that we have to keep God separate, or that, God has its place, and that, like, God has to be over everything. That's the problem with this world today. God is not allowed in school. God is not allowed in business. God is not allowed everywhere. The only place that he is so-called allowed is within the houses of our different churches and things like that. But what's going on in there? That when people come out, people are content with not talking about God unless it is a Sunday or a Friday for some Muslims, right? Or the Sabbath day for, our Hebrew brothers and sisters. So if God is not in every aspect of our life, there's a problem there. And so, like I was mentioning with my sister, if God is at the root of all of our thinking, I want to do this. Why? Because I want to be pleasing to God. I think that this is something that He would want me to do. I want to help people do better because I understand that He wants me to do better. And now that I am doing better, or now that I understand the process or the importance of doing better, and how difficult it can be to do better, now I want to help and inspire other people to do better. You see, the goal is Him, not everybody else. This is the thing. Like, oh my goodness, we talked about this yesterday too, about how that, actually, we didn't talk about this yesterday. It was yesterday. I was on a Clubhouse at 10 in the morning. And on that Clubhouse, we were talking about, we just quickly mentioned service, right? When you are a servant, I said it's pretty funny how you are, as a servant, you're serving other people. But in you serving other people, it satisfies, it's, how do you say it? It's self-gratifying. Like, by me helping somebody else, I have helped them and they appreciate it. But I, in turn, feel good for doing it too. So it's like I did it for myself, right? So having this conversation here and now is like, or talking about the desire feeding the will for us to do different things, it makes me think about how fame does not even have to be the goal. Money doesn't even have to be the goal. But because when you are in service to God, 9 out of 10 is going to bring these things. 10 out of 10, really. Because servants of God, I don't know, true servants of God that just live a poor life. And I mean entire, like, life to death. That's just they were supposed to just be in poverty just because. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that there's not times where even we have different, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Omari, that we have different spots where we struggle. No, that's not the point. But the point is that if we serve a God who controls all things, who is wealth himself, who owns all the wealth of the world, right? Then as a servant of God, why would we not have that as well? And like I said, it can still be a process. He's not, he's not a genie in a bottle, and he's not poofing bank accounts. You get a large bank account, you get a large bank account, you get a large bank account. No, it's not that kind of picture, but if we stand the test of time, then yes, absolutely. These are the things that is promised to us. But do we submit wholly, WHOLLY, as in entirely, or do we do it the part that I like and then expect understanding God, right? Or do we do a part of it and then expect him to give us in full what we're saying that, well, God, you said if I do this. Yeah, but how much are you given to that process? You know what I'm saying? It's not just about having faith. It's about having the work. It's not just about having the work. It's about having the faith. And so I was reading this morning after prayer, a section in the Holy Quran, and this is to my point about desire feeding the will. Okay? Let me just say this before I read that. The desire feeds the will. So when we see each other and we are doing what we're doing, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Lisha. Thank you for joining, sis. When we see each other, people might see me and say, sis, I can't do what you're doing or this and that. No. I'm not even, you can do better and greater. Because what you see in me is not me. You don't just see Sister Utira on here talking or, whatever it is that you say that you like that I do. It's not the fact that you see me doing it. It's what you really are feeling and seeing is through that. It's the intention behind it. My desire is to be pleasing in the eyesight of the God that I serve, period. And so in my sincere prayer to him. I am begging him. I'm like, listen, God, please, I need you to use me the way that you want me to be used. I want you to empty me of myself. I want you to help me to get rid, to kill ego, to kill pride. I need that stuff gone. I can't be a proper servant with these kind of issues, that I'm not working on actively to get rid of. Yeah, because they're still there now, but I want them gone. My desire is for them to be eradicated from my life, right? So my desire for that, my desire for God to use me, my desire to serve God's people, my desire to help spread truth, to spread freedom, to spread justice and equality, my desire to do those things is what is feeding my willpower. I was reading also the study guides, right? The study guides. Is today Friday? Oh, today's Friday. Self-Improvement class is tonight on Zoom. So if you need the link to register, because you have to register to get to attend the class, make sure that you comment or DM or something. Just get in contact with me if you need it so that you can register to join this self-improvement class. And this is the inspiration for these live streams, because self-improvement is the basis, okay, for community development. All right, so we got to start with self. So when we talk about, let me see, I think it was in the glossary is what I was reading. Will. So there was just so so much information. Will. Where was I reading about the actual will? Let me see. I read page 33, 34 this morning, and 13 and 34. No, it wasn't there. That was the letter. Because that's what it's about. It's about our intention and what our desire to do that strengthens us to do these different things. Okay, well, he was talking about will here in terms of, he was really, going into the I. But when I just think about will, that's okay, yes, ma'am, I'll make sure that I send that to you, sis. In terms of will, that, sometimes we don't feel like doing something that needs to be done. Where do we find the fortitude and the strength to get up and do the things? And this is a good example. When I was working a job, I was so good at getting up on time. I was so good at going to bed on time. I was so good at making sure that dinner was prepared at a certain time so the babies could eat and be in bed at a certain time. I was so good to stick into this structure and this time of what needed to be done so that I could get up the next morning on time, leave the house, and be to work. And so my will, because my desire was to keep the job, right? And it makes sense. So in order for me to keep the job, I have to drop off in order for me to be to work by 9 o'clock, I have to be up in time to feed the children and drop off 2 children at 2 different daycares, because at this time, I was caring for my nephew as well. I had just my daughter and I had my nephew. So they were both already in different schools. Killa, how you doing? Chels or Chills? How do you say that? Peace and blessings. Welcome. Self-improvement conversation, right? So as I was, like I said, taking them to 2 different daycares, I got to be to work at 9. One got to be there no later than 8:30. One got to be there by 9 o'clock. I got to be to work by 9. So mastering this schedule, I had to do it. I found the will to do it. Why? Because my desire was to keep the job, keep the paycheck, keep the roof over our head, the lights and the food on. And again, this is before I was married. So now with the shift being that my husband has retired me, now I'm not working. I'm a full-time wife, mother, homemaker, business owner, and all of these different things. And so now it's a different desire. The desire has changed. So because if the desire feeds the will, well, my will has to be pulled upon by something else now, because the desire was to keep the job and keep the paycheck, to keep the lights on and the roof over my head, right? But now that I don't pay any bill, now that I don't get any paychecks and now that I don't have a job, which was the desires, what's feeding the will? So I had to redirect it. That's deep. Wow. As I'm saying it, because I'm like, wow, if desire feeds the will, what is all of our desires? You know what I'm saying? So for me, this is self-improvement. I'm just just sharing my story, being my own, being an example. My desire wasn't God. Even though I still wanted to be pleasing in his eyesight, I still wanted to do, good things, and I still wanted to serve and submit. But look at what my day-to-day focus is on. Even on the weekend. Oh, I need to, things need to still be structured around getting up for work Monday morning. The job ultimately was like a God for me. I can forsake my bed to get up and be on time for work. I can forsake my bed to make sure that I beat that traffic to be there for work. Too tired to really engage the children in the way that they needed to be engaged. To, deprogram them, if you will, coming home from, their schools or their daycares and things like that, Head Start and all that good stuff. Too tired to that, not too involved in that, but making sure that everything's done so we can make sure that I get to work tomorrow. That's something serious. So now, being home and having time to think and go through things in my mind and figure myself out and learn myself and communicate with God and listen and be communicated to and being willing to submit, my desire has evolved to where, God, I'm here to serve you wholly. You brought me here for a reason. There's certain gifts, there's certain talents, there is a certain way that you have groomed me, reared me, shaped me in this world to be able to offer myself as a servant to you and to your people. And now that that's my desire, you're going to see a lot of different things come from me because he is my focus. He is my focus. And in that there is a lot, you know what I'm saying? So desire feeds the will to do the things that he wants us to do. And then as we grow there, now the things that he wants me to do are things that I want to do. It's not, you know what I'm saying? We've had this conversation before, right, Sister Felicia? Like once upon a time, it's like, Sister Utira, you need to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm outright not doing it, sir. You got the wrong sister. And I'm sure of that. You see what I'm saying? That was the initial thought. And now it's like, okay, is that we tackling that? Is that what we doing? Okay, cool. Let's do it. Run it. Break. Let's go. Right? Because now it's like, I have let go and let God. We had that conversation too. Of the insecurities that other people put on you. Man, I am learning that this thing called life is a beautiful thing. People put on you what they put on themselves. Right? The way that people operate, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jason, the way that other people operate in their own life, sometimes they put that on you. We've had this conversation too a little bit. You don't need to be doing that. You don't have, you can't, you shouldn't, it's not going to be successful. We all have had people speaking that because of where they are. And I'm learning that that's not a reflection of who you are, who I am. So when people do that to me, I have to, and I'm still learning it, and I'm still learning to master. You don't even have to comment back to that. Why? Because you're feeding into a conversation that was never on a same level. Not that you and I, or not that means that I am better. But if I am operating from a place that I know in my heart, God is using me, is moving me and doing with me, then an outside force is guaranteed to come in and try to say something to knock you off that. That's promise. There's a prayer that we say called the refuge prayer. I seek refuge in the Lord of men, the King of men, the God of men, from the evil whisperings of the slinking devil, who whispers into the hearts of men from among the jinn and the men. So I'm seeking refuge in God to keep away this whispering, this whispering, you can't do this. You shouldn't do that. From among the jinn and the men, the jinn being this internal force, that heat, that negative force that comes from within yourself, and the men, an external force. So once you master, again, this is self-improvement, but once you use that self-power to stop allowing yourself to stop you from doing what you're doing, when the outside jinn, or when the whisperings come from somebody else, you don't even have a place here, because I'm doing God's will. Sister Felicia said, I'm using my own gift God gave me. That's it. See, when people stop trying to, like before, if the person that, this part of this conversation is for the person that goes around trying to stop people from doing what they not willing to do. If you stopped yourself from telling the next person, why are you doing this? What are you doing? Because that's the only thing that it can mean, is that you're not doing really all that you can be doing. You're not willing to go past, I'm working a job, or I'm doing my thing, and this is what I'm doing, okay, whatever. But where are you holding back then? Because you can't be serving God and talk lack. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know God and if you serving God, where is there room for us to say, oh, you can't be doing this, and this supposed to look like that? If you recognize that God is supreme in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you and I can't look into a person's life and tell them what they're supposed to be doing per our understanding. The most that you can do is applaud somebody. I see that you are working things out for yourself. I admire that. You know what I'm saying? I never had the strength to do what I see you doing, sis. So I'm grateful that you're doing something that I'm not willing to do. That's the kind of talk that we should have when we honor God. Because how are you honoring God by trying to tear somebody down? And even if you're saying you're not trying to tear them down, why are you trying to impede or to stop their progress? Encourage them. If you think that it's a difficult thing to get on a camera and talk, whether it's scripted or unscripted, whether you write out what you're going to say or don't, if you think that that's a hard thing to do, why would you go behind the person and tell them, I don't think you should be doing that? What is your then intention? Right? Okay, so I didn't even read from the Holy Quran today. What I wanted to read. You cannot attain righteousness unless you spend out of what you love. And what you spend, Allah God surely knows it. You cannot attain to righteousness unless you spend out of what you love. That's a serious thing. The way that I internalize that, the way that I understand that is, people give their time to what they care about. So if I care about looking good for people, then that's where my focus is going to go. But here it says you cannot attain to righteousness unless you spend out of what you love. And so if I take the time to, I like to talk to people. West Best, peace, brother. How are you, sir? Oh, yeah, I got to get with you. You sent me a message last night. I had a full day last night, but I'll get to you with that staking. But yes, when it comes to spending out of what you love, like I love talking to people. So I mentioned this a couple, probably a week or so ago, that in talking to people now, my talking to people has to be in service, not idle talk. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference. If once upon a time, we can talk on the phone, we can just be kicking it on the phone for 3 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours, just chopping it up, then I was just doing that. But now if I'm saying, listen, I have to utilize my talking time to be in service. I have to spend that time talking in a more useful way, in a way that serves my purpose, not to just speak idle words and sport and play. Sis Felicia said, I'm so grateful for you, sis. Speak to me every day. That fuels me. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, sis. Praise be to God. Thank you for your testimony. And thank you for, again, by you telling me that, it inspires me and encourages me to keep going. Because if I ever have a moment where I'm like, man, am I supposed to be doing this? No, Sister Felicia I said something that helped her. That's the goal. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Hashim. And so, I thank you. Not only do you come, but you comment, and you share that with me. And I have to say this. I don't think that that's a light thing. In a world that does not encourage us to speak truth, that doesn't encourage us not to just speak truth, but especially where women are concerned. This is a world that has made it to where women are supposed to disagree, you know what I'm saying, not work together, not line up, you know what I'm saying? This is how this world has been designed for us. So when you tell me that you appreciate me, when you say what you say to me, Sister Felicia, that is totally out of line of the way that this world is set up. And so that's love. You know what I'm saying? Because you're willing to say that openly. You know what I'm saying? Even though we have our own personal conversations just between you and I, you still comment and say things like that on a live stream. So I just had to say to me, there's a lot of significance in that. And I thank you and I love you for that. We're building bonds here and we're building relationships. So I really appreciate what you are sharing with me. And then the other part of this that I wanted to read as we get ready to close this up here, it says, this is chapter 3, section 98. All right, 2 parts. Verse 98, say, O people of the book, why do you disbelieve in the messages of God? And God is a witness of what you do. Say, O people of the book, why do you hinder those who believe from the way of God, seeking to make it crooked while you are witnesses? And God is not heedless of what you do. 99 that's the one right there. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you all for joining on here. Awesome King B and Jahaj. So why do you hinder those who believe from the way of Allah, God, seeking to make it crooked while you are witnesses? Now, when I read this morning, this took me straight to my family. I got family that have known me before I made this change, this entire transformation in my life. People that knew me while I was in high school, blind, deaf, and dumb. Okay? Then they see me make a total transformation in my life. They don't say anything to me while I'm in my foolery, in my foolish state. They don't tell me anything about life, love, truth, nothing. But as soon as I accept this way of life, because that's all Islam is for me, it's just a way of life, honor God, live a clean life, treat people with love and respect, don't be an aggressor, you know what I'm saying? If somebody fights you, fight back, but do not be an aggressor. Keep God first. Don't worship other gods. It's just a way of life for me. So now that I'm submitting to a way of life that has brought forth life in me, now you want to stop me? Why, O people of the book, why do you hinder those who believe from the way of God? Why are you trying to stop me from doing what God got me here doing? Why are you trying to stop me? How does that make sense? But the thing is, now I am to a point where my desire is what it is. My desire now isn't 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. My desire is only to please God. I want people to understand that by that being my only desire, that fulfills everything and everyone else. By me saying, I only care about what God thinks of me. No, that doesn't mean that I can negate my husband, negate my children, negate my mother, negate my family, no. Because God, he does things that services everybody. So if I'm saying that my desire is to be pleasing to him, then that means, well, I have to be attentive to my husband properly. I have to be attentive to my children properly. I have to be attentive to my siblings properly. I have to be attentive to the believers properly. That's what that means. Nobody's getting neglected by me keeping God first. But if I make you a God besides him, oh, brother so-and-so don't want me doing this. So God, I know you might want me to, but this brother got some power. You know what I'm saying? God, I know you want me doing this, but sister said, I should be focusing on this, sir. So because, she's talking to me like this, God, I'm going to have to put what you put in me to the side. You see how that becomes a problem? Right? But by keeping God first, by him being the only desire, I want to be one with him. Well, then that helps me to be a universal servant. Skin color don't stop me from serving the next person. I got business partners that are white. Some people don't really know don't have the full understanding of what it means to be in the Nation of Islam, because again, the media portrays a certain way, sound bites and this, that, and the third. But I just wanted to say, the desire feeds the will. So as I am improving, the word of the day is the question of the day is, what is your desire? Because your desire is going to feed the will, right? Your desire is going to feed the activity in what you do. Yesterday, I was making calls and I was such on a high. And it's amazing. I made a live stream on Facebook yesterday talking about the pain that I was feeling about women who are posting about being strong on the outside, but being hurt on the inside. Right? And so I had to come out and I had to make a live stream about that on Facebook. And my point about bringing that up right now is, after doing that, my energy was so high. You know what I'm saying? Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sakina. My energy was so high that I went from that, and then I went to making business calls. I think I made like 17 business calls like that. You know what I'm saying? I had somebody come to the event. I was influencing the calendar, got people coming this, that, and the third. And my point is that I was in my zone because I was in full service mode. When I made that live stream, and I'm closing, y'all. When I made that live stream, I was in the middle of getting ready to, I had just put my babies asleep. I was getting ready to prepare for prayer. I had some chores around the house that I needed to tend to. But when I saw two posts in the same day within hours of each other of two women showing that they were going through something, I said, I got to speak to it. I answered the call that God put on my mind. First of all, I wrote a long post. After writing that long post, I said to myself, well, maybe I'll just add a little quick recorded video and I'll add that to the post. By the time I was done writing it, I said, no, I got to go live with this. So I left the caption there, which is, like I said, it was long because I was only going to make the post by itself. I said, no, the people can't just read this text because some people might take it out of context. They got to hear the love and the passion that's behind it. So I'm going to say this. Sisters, when you're going through something, reach out to somebody. Stop suffering in silence. Please stop it. We do not have to do that. Suicide is at, I don't know if it's at an all-time high, but it's on the rise. People that we think would never commit suicide. People, there's the beautiful sister who won one of these Miss, I'm not even sure what it is, but I just saw that she committed suicide. Right? You have celebrities and their children, right? The children committing suicide. You have people that you would think, oh, they got it all. This is material things. What's going on in the soul? But if we don't have somebody that is willing to have a soul connection, to have a soul conversation, we're losing lives that we don't have to lose. All right. So the desire feeds the will. Line up your desire. Figure out what it is that you desire to do in the name of God. This is, I'm always speaking to believers, but I'm going to actually say what the minister said in this, what I was reading about people who, who say that they don't believe in God, right? He said, he sure got a way of putting stuff in context. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right. He said, and even those, this is the self-improvement guides, right? He said, and even those who think, page 13, y'all, I'm sorry. And even those who think they don't believe in God, just travel on these airplanes and wait until it hits a severe air pocket and bumps. You see the Christian grab for his cross. You see the Jewish person get the Star of David or the Talmud. A Muslim gets the Quran or something divine. They don't ask for the navigator because he cannot see where he's going. They reach outside the plane to somebody that they know or believe has power over this wind, over the forces that are tearing this plane apart, right? I got people in my family right now that bear witness to this. Say they don't believe in God, but I might catch them talking and they're going through something serious and they just like, oh Lord, please. I don't say nothing. I don't highlight it. But that bears witness to even the people who say out of their mouth that they don't believe in God. When trouble befalls them, they call on him. You know what I'm saying? So just keeping that in mind. And as I leave here, this is the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper, family. The Final Call, War on the Horizon for America. I actually get into these with my children. My husband, he does his own, readings, but we sit and we are getting involved inside of our Final Call more to read the highlights and what's going on. And even when it comes to, I'm trying to find the article here about the war. It's in here somewhere. But anyways, oh, here it is. This right here, okay? Russia-Ukraine conflict raises big risk for global economy. This is information that is unadulterated. You want to make sure that you are getting your Final Call newspaper. If you want to take out a subscription, you can, my husband and I, we send out Final Call newspaper to our customers every Thursday. We get them in on Wednesday. We seal them up and send them out on Thursdays. So if you want to become a customer and get your Final Call newspaper, then you're more than welcome to comment that as well. And that's it for me today. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:00 a.m. for another conversation of self-improvement. Let's continue to work on self, that together we may make the world a better place, one self at a time. I love you. This is Sissy Yatira, the First Lady of Fire Money Network, signing off. Have a blessed day. Peace and blessings.